DeAndre Hopkins just caught a Hail Mary game winner over 3 Buffalo defenders.
Oof.
Yeah, so that was a big catch for a game winner.
Bill's having a rough year.
What's the record?
I'm not
They
even
won
too
a few
sure.
games.
Yeah.
And the division isn't that strong anymore since Brady left.
Yeah. Who's up top? Is it Miami or Buffalo?
Definitely not the Jets.
Miami and Buffalo are in the same division.
I think it is Buffalo because Miami's been. I don't even know.
They're on a win streak right now, though.
With
Tua?
Tua?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe the Texans let go of Hopkins.
Yeah. Quite tragic.
I want to be in those
Jacket's
rooms.
coming off, eh? Ladies and gentlemen, the jacket is coming off.
They can't see it. It's live.
No, right? Raz is still up north.
Raz is still up north in his head for sure.
I'm gonna half
heartbreak.
cover up. You know.
His heart is very cold.
Oh man.
It's colder after this deal got rejected.
Oh man.
Fuck
Alright,
you,
guys.
fuck me out of this deal.
You gotta, what would you say?
He's got trauma right now,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, we all got trauma.
We all need this
ladies and
glass of
gentlemen.
wine for different reasons this week.
That's facts. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bottom line. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever or whenever you are watching. My name is Hector. I'm joined by some beautiful gentlemen, per usual. Got Ian, got Raz,
What up?
and we got Joe behind the camera.
Say what up, Joe.
Yes, sir. So welcome to the bottom line, where we talk about topics of business, entrepreneurship, fashion, finance, and life in general. And that's how we learn, grow, and connect, ladies and gentlemen. So today, the topics we got are a lot of versus topics. This is the versus episode.
Bottom line versus the world.
This is the
Bunch of bouts,
Yeah.
right hooks in that. So today, we're going to be talking about corporate versus niche.
Cultures
Versus corporate.
Whatever way you
Supreme.
want to mix it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Warren Lotas versus Nike.
I think that's the same, like culture versus
Yeah,
corporate too.
that is very true.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's a good topic. For
And
that.
finally, Jack Ma versus communism.
No, it's a CPP.
CCP.
The CCP, bro.
Kind of at
Come
the end of
on.
the day too. It's also about culture
CCP,
versus
China.
culture versus.
It's always the culture versus corporate though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some mans are
And
not down
communism.
for the culture, trying to get their bread up.
Yeah.
Some mans are not down for communism.
They're just trying to get the bread up.
Cheers, cheers before we
We're
get-
just trying to get our wine up.
Cheers, Joe.
So another good episode.
Oh, man.
So last Monday. Oh yeah, let's
Let's introduce the wines.
The wines that we got today.
What do we drink today?
We got a Monte Piazzo Valpolicella from 2016. This was recommended from our good friend Stefano at the LCBO. He said this one was really good, and we all agreed.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we've got the Bodega Volcans de Chile.
Someone we're
Tech-
drinking right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one we're drinking
Also
right now.
slaps.
Yeah,
Tecate.
very, very good. I think I like
Very
this
nice
one a
Pinot
little bit
Noir.
more.
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
That one's
a little
nice.
more.
This
The Pinot
definitely
Noir.
deserves the 94 rating it's got.
Yeah.
Shouts out.
Get your
I just
grades
picked this
up.
one up.
Yeah.
Get your grapes up. Get your grapes up.
Grades up.
And then lastly, after this one's done, we're gonna have a blast from the past from last episode.
Say word.
The Merlot, Clare Valley, the Wakefield wines. You know, the one with all the stickers on it, saying it's really good.
Oh,
If
yeah.
We
the
definitely
stickers are
agree.
on it, it's fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now you guys know, all you wine companies, all you got to do is put a bunch of stickers
Yo,
on
this
it.
shit slaps.
And
Yeah.
send us a few cases
Yeah.
as well, because we need some.
We'll review them, no problem.
Yeah,
We'll get them
We
done.
will review them.
For real, for
We
real.
will promote your wines. Come through.
Yeah.
We show your video.
Last Monday, I woke up to some news. Saw on Twitter that Supreme had sold to a new business. So for the second time in less than 5 years, the stock in Supreme has been sold to a different corporate conglomerate. This time it was sold to the VF Corp, which also owns actually the brands of Timberland, Vans, North Face, and a few other brands that are, I guess, clothing brands, sneaker brands, and stuff like that.
They're well known. They're just not luxury brands.
Yeah, they're exactly. That's a good way to put it. So they sold for $2.1 billion, which is a huge amount. You know, $2.1 billion is nothing.
Nothing to Supreme.
Well, it sounds like it's a lot if they're willing to sell it out
Yeah.
for it. But $2.1 billion is a lot of money for anybody, man.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a big investment. You
Yep.
know what I mean? So that just goes to show how big this streetwear market has become.
Yeah.
Supreme is, for the people that don't know, Supreme is a skateboard brand that started in 1994 by a guy named James Jebbia.
So it wasn't James Supreme, right?
Nah,
All right.
wasn't James Supreme.
It's usually a
I
family
think he
name
got,
at that
honestly, I
point.
think his Supreme and the red box logo itself, I think he got inspiration from that, from a magazine from a newspaper in New York. I'm not sure if it's the New York Times, but apparently he got that look and that design inspiration from a newspaper somewhere. So humble beginnings in
Mhm.
New York, but now, 26 years later, his company sells for $2.1 billion. Like,
26 years. That's crazy.
you know what I mean? It just talks. I mean, we've experienced it on a day-to-day basis. It's a huge part of our own business here at Low End. Supreme is one of our best sellers, easy, when it comes to streetwear brands, skateboard brands in store. Young kids want it. Older people want it as well. You know, we've seen some old heads come in here, copping Supreme, selling Supreme. Same with the young kids that are in grade 8 want Supreme. I guess I would say the target market's around 18 years old to 25. But just to see that a store or a brand like that is able to jump into the corporate world, not for the first time, but for the second time. And this time James sold all his stake, and all the other partners and owners of Supreme sold all their shares to this VF corporation. So it's a big step.
What does this VF corporation do?
They're basically like a conglomerate or a holding company that holds other clothing brands, sneaker brands, and a lot of people are obviously skeptical about this, right? Like, if you're a big Supreme guy and you see one of your favorite brands go mainstream or corporate, you're like, oh man, like, what's that gonna mean for the brand that I love, the brand that I've been repping for the past 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is? Are they gonna sell out? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big discussion with anything, whether it's like music or fashion. Whenever you see your favorite guy make it to the
top.
to the big leagues, you're like, fuck, like low key.
Yeah, he's gonna sell out. Yeah,
Gonna sell out. Like, the music's not gonna be the same, the product's not gonna be the same, because everything now is about money. It's about, you're in a corporate world. It's about the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
How much money do we make at the end of the year? And the VF Corp is saying that they want to see Supreme make $1 billion in revenue at some point in the future, so that they could at least recuperate some of that money they've invested in the company, right? $2.1 billion is not a small amount. So they definitely want to see Supreme go from $500 million that in revenue that they posted this year, and double that to $1 billion. So again, that goes back eventually.
Yep.
And that goes back to the conversation. How do you double up? How do you get that extra $500 million? Is it by selling out? Is it by staying the same? You can't, like,
I think we were talking about this 2 or 3 episodes ago. Where was it Gucci that was going into the
third sale,
the third
resale
party market? Yeah, the resale market. So I think with Supreme, we were talking about this off camera, but it's just like Supreme sells a shirt for $125, but then on these StockX sites it goes for like $600-700. They're never the ones making that initial. Like, they're making a big jump. Maybe it doesn't cost them $125 to make the shirt.
Yep.
T-shirt probably doesn't cost that much. But maybe max costs on big production $10-15 max, and you're getting like 1,000 times return on your investment. But these guys that are buying it for $125 and then going on these resale sites because they only made 100 of a T-shirt, like, these guys are making way more money than Supreme is, you know. So I think it's going to go into that. Okay, we saw Gucci start go into the third or the third party market.
Yeah, the resale market.
And I think now that they're buying it, they're kind of just gonna want to get their piece of that as well too, because you sell a $125 shirt, but if it sells for $600, you've just lost out on $475, and that's 3 or 4 times what you sold your initial shirt for.
And some core some core fans of Supreme have already been kind of not skeptical of the brand, but again, this is not the first time they sold some of their shares to a corporate
entity.
The first time was in 2017. They sold half of their business to, I don't have the name of the company, but they sold half of their business over to a corporate entity, and that was already like the first signal of they sold out.
Right.
What is Supreme going to become? And some core fans are already seeing designs kind of lacking, seeing retail prices go up, and seeing, I guess, the signs of Supreme not being the same Supreme it was 10, 15 years ago. Again, it comes back to that conversation of corporate versus culture. Can those two things coexist? You know what I mean? Can you stay true to that niche market while also
money's the root of all evil,
increasing that bottom line for the guys in suits that have no idea what Supreme is? You know, their son might ask them for a Supreme box logo, but they don't know why they're paying $600 for a sweater that says Supreme. You know, we always get that in the store. They're like, "What's this Supreme?" from parents and stuff like that. "What's this Supreme?"
They don't get it.
Why does my kid want me to spend $500 on a T-shirt or
I was literally just about to ask about that. I was gonna put my old people shoes on and be like, all right, do you think most of these people that are actually into Supreme are into Supreme because of how it looks like, or they want the brand, like they like it, or because they can buy it for $200 and flip it for $600 down the road?
I think
there's a lot of groups in there.
Yeah, there is a lot of groups. A lot of people like the history of the brand itself. There's those true diehard fans, but at the end of the day, you're buying that item for its value.
Because you guys have been saying it's been around for 24 years, but
yeah.
I've only heard of Supreme in the last couple of years, just because it's just like you see on the news, like Supreme shirt goes for $600, and I'm like, who's in their right mind to spend $600 on a T-shirt? Like, what is going on here? And then you look at the price of these things, and I'm like, these things are selling like hot stocks. Like, you buy something for $125, but you know on the market it's going to be valued at least $250. You know, and I have a buddy that's super into this Supreme stuff. Like, he looks at all the drops. He's kind of, okay, this is worth it. This isn't worth it. This is going to sell well.
Yeah.
They released 3 versions of a sweater or a jacket or whatever. He's like, I've done market research. I think the black one's going to sell much better than the yellow one. Like, these guys are like full-on business heads, but don't even know what, like, they're doing what everybody else is doing. But this is exactly how business people research a product. Like, okay, this new Supreme product's going to come out. They have 3 different variations. Let's run analysis on each 3 of them. But these guys are doing analysis. They're not doing like they're not doing like huge spreadsheets on them. They're just thinking in their head like, okay, this is yellow. It's fall time. Okay, yellow around fall time is probably going to be a huge resale value. I can probably buy it for $150, maybe get $300 for it. You know, they're doing like the mental math in their head. You know, super fast.
It's basically what's in nowadays is what's gonna sell, and if Supreme or another brand is kind of copying what the trend is whether it's colorway, style, look, then that'll resell well.
Right.
Yeah. Usually the neutral colors, like the blacks, the whites, those will sell quick.
Yeah.
Like we have a gray Supreme hoodie in here somewhere. It's just
gray box logo.
Yeah, it's a gray box logo.
Yeah, it's like in this
box logo.
With a
a
red Supreme.
Yeah,
those are pretty rare.
Yeah, I just saw it right here.
$1,000 for that one.
Yeah, and it's a classic colorway that
everyone's kind of
That's a Supreme look though. Like you Google Supreme, that is what you see. A gray sweater, red box logo. Probably cost $30 in China to make, but like it's worth $1,000.
They are made in Canada. Some of their.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
It's like it's long. Like I was thinking about earlier. Long gone are the days when you could line up at They have 12 stores around the world: New York, LA, just a bunch of them, and it's
like the main metropolitan areas.
Yeah. 12 locations and an online store. But long gone are the days when you could just line up at the store and get what you want.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You see a drop, you're like, all right, I'm going to go to the shop tomorrow, pick up a piece for myself, and I'm good. Because now you've got 100 people in line that are looking for the same exact colorway that you are in the same exact size. And you're like, all right, I can't get it in store. Let me try online.
Mhm.
But there's thousands of people trying to get that around the world.
Not even just people, man. The bots.
Bots.
The bots are fucking killing it, bro.
Exactly. Because, again, it sucks because if you're a diehard Supreme fan, there's so many people out there. There's that other group of people that are trying to get what you want just to resell it.
Just to flip it, yeah.
So if you don't get it on the initial drop for retail, which is $40 for a tee, you gotta wait till it gets on the resale market, till that guy walks out the Supreme store with the tee that you want and be like, oh, you want this? All right.
There's 100% markup. 100% markup.
$4 bills.
Yeah. I just
Something
paid
like that,
$150.
you
It's
know
$4 bills now.
Well,
Bro, even with these PS5s that just came out. Like,
Oh,
man, like
yeah.
these, like I've had nothing on my Instagram except for people buying like
PS5.
PS5s 5 at a time. One guy's selling it for $1,500. I've got one left. It's $2,000 now. Like, you know, like
Just wait.
These things are going like hotcakes.
people can't wait.
They can't wait, bro. They're like addicts. Like it's just
What's wrong with y'all?
Is this like, so it dropped, like the initial drop was this week,
Yeah.
but they're going to be releasing more during, I guess, the holidays or something like that? Or
Not, I think Best Buy anyway, so they're not restocking any for the holiday season. You won't be able to get one till 2020.
Whoa.
In store from Best
So Best
Hey.
Buy is not getting any till 2020.
It's not for the
So, Joe.
people.
Buy. More retail.
Not for the people.
So
no, it
Best
is for the
Buy's
people.
not
It's for the resellers, bro. Fuck the people. It's for the resellers.
Bro,
That's
just
crazy.
wait a couple months to play games, yo. Just chill.
Bro,
go
G
read a
Herbo's
book.
tripping. G Herbo's tripping.
PS4 too, so just for perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Just go read a book, ladies and gentlemen. Mostly gentlemen.
We'll give you an Audible one if you don't like to read. We'll give you an Audible link. Get 10%
So
off your...
how do you think Supreme's gonna really recoup this?
Recoup this.
Because he was talking about or get to 1 billion revenue.
Yeah, they're at 500 million now. How
Yeah.
do you expect them to get to 1 billion?
Because
I mean, the initial conversation and discussion going around that I saw was, first of all, VF Group doesn't. This is I think the CEO said they're how they do business is that they buy these entities, but they don't really tell these businesses how to conduct business.
That's
They
what a
just-
holding company usually is. They just buy it and they're just like, we're going to hold it. Right?
Exactly.
It's buy and hold, right? Like, we're not going to tell you what to do.
Yep.
And you keep running your business, but we own you now at this
Mhm.
point. Like, your profit margins have gone down. This is what we take, and that's it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I see.
Because James Zabaya, again, the founder of Supreme, is still working with Supreme. He's still going to be there doing his thing. And they're not planning on disrupting any of that.
Mhm.
But they're saying that they do want to increase Supreme's
Market
e-commerce presence.
Yep.
Want to make Supreme items more accessible to people around the world. Like I said, they only have 12 brick and mortar spots, and then obviously a very, very popular website. But there's certain areas in the world where Supreme isn't accessible.
Right.
For example, China.
It's not available in Shanghai and Hong Kong and stuff?
They honestly, Supreme has a big
The fake
problem
ones.
with the yeah.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
what I was going to say, yeah.
That's one of the big problems with Supreme is they have like problems holding their
Man, it's not
trademark in
easy.
areas.
It's not hard to make a gray sweater with a box logo that says Supreme on it.
Exactly.
It's really not that difficult.
There's so many things.
Probably the easiest thing to rip
One
off.
of the
Like,
easier
yeah.
things to rip off. We've seen
Like-
some really good fakes.
Like, man, I can
Yeah.
go to one of these stores, get what is it called? Like the embroidery machines,
Yeah.
and pretty
Yeah.
much make one of these. You know,
Exactly. It's not hard to remake and make your own version of a Supreme box logo, but imagine Supreme's able to open up more stores, or especially in those areas. They open up a store in China.
Mhm.
That's crazy. That's gonna help towards that 1 billion in revenue. Producing more product.
Mhm.
You know, Supreme is famous for having limited quantities in certain
Certain
staple
pieces,
pieces, right? The gray and red box logo is coveted because you can't just find one just anywhere,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That's been Supreme's model since they started, and a lot of streetwear brands have taken from that and tried to mimic that in terms of releasing limited amounts in every drop,
Mhm.
but dropping a few times during each season, right? They have the summer drop and then they have the fall drop.
Yep.
Few weeks, and they do their thing. So increasing the amount of product that they release every time, making it more accessible, I think is the way a lot of people are saying that they're going to get to that 1 billion mark.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of our customers. I talked to one on our DM saying that it's going to destroy the hype of the items just because they are going to becoming a lot of the pieces are going to be becoming more accessible to people.
Do you think it's going to be like the Yeezy and Old Navy thing that we talked about weeks ago?
All Yeezy and Gap?
Yeah, Yeezy and Gap, yeah.
Who knows?
You think it's going to be something like that? Because it's going to have to be something like that.
Yeah.
Because what Supreme did really well is controlling the demand side of the equation, right? They released a limited supply, but really worked up that demand. You know, like, we're going to make you guys want the product so much that you're going to spend 5x what it's worth, you know?
You think they're
even though we put the value at like 10x of what it's actually worth, you know?
Yeah.
So like for a shirt, it shouldn't cost $125, but you're going to spend $600 on it, just no problem, you know? So they really ran the demand side of the equation. They kept supply low, like every single, you knew when the new stuff was going to come out, like you knew how to plan your schedule for it. It built up initial hype on itself, you know? Okay, they only have 4 releases every year. The 30th of every 4 months, I've got to have my money saved up. Like, I've got to be ready to go. Like, and they'll find that one product that they're like, I have to have this. Even if it's just I'm not going to resell it, like we've been pretty much saying. Like, I want to buy this just so I can flip it for 5x the amount. I want to buy this just because I love it. You know?
Yeah.
And then those are the guys that kind of get screwed out of it because they'll devote their whole time to this and like spend all that time to research the product, you know, wait in line. And then they just get fucked over by a bot, and then they have to go buy the product for 5x the amount, you know?
That's interesting because it's like if you are just that hardcore Supreme guy that just wants to wear a Supreme tee, wants to cop the Supreme tee just to wear it and have fun with it, would you rather buy it at resale for $600 or Supreme make so much more of that product where everyone in your neighborhood has one? But you're getting it for a lot.
On 25, yeah. You're not paying the $600 a month.
I think
that's crazy.
The idea of having a piece that no one has for some of these people is what they look for in Supreme pieces and some of these more rare pieces that are on the resale market.
Yeah, but if 2 dudes were to show up to a party, one guy has a real Supreme shirt, one guy has a fake Supreme shirt, can you really fucking tell?
If you're drunk as hell, no.
That's what I mean. Like, you show up to a party, like, at the end of the day, these guys are going to be like, oh, that's a sick shirt, bro. Like,
nice.
Where'd you get that? Oh, I ordered it from DHgate, you know?
The one we get always in stores. Oh, my girl's, my sister's boyfriend got it for me. Oh, my uncle got it for me.
My boyfriend got it for me.
It fell off a truck, yeah.
We used to
they
be
do
looking at it like,
not know where the fakes be coming from.
Yeah. We're going to pass. I'm sorry. Like, it's in good condition.
Yeah, bro, it's real. I got the box and everything. It's like off gray and great.
We're going to pass. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got to pass on that one, man.
And then they'll message us after. Was it fake? Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Just didn't want to say it.
We have customers out here, you know.
But yeah, but I think that's a very interesting question.
But that's where it's going to have to come down to when you're corporately owned, right? Like, you're going to have to balance out that equation. You know, the equilibrium price, right? Like, you've done economics and all that stuff. You play with the amount of supply until the amount of demand doesn't go up anymore. And then you find that equilibrium price, right?
Yep.
So they can go into the market and start selling shirts for $250 now because people are still going to buy them because they're willing to pay $600 for them.
That's very true.
So now, what is that going to do to the resale market? Are people going to be like, you know what, there's an extra amount of, there's 2 times the amount of supply. At the end of the day, am I going to spend that much more, or am I just going to wait till it's in stores? You know,
yeah.
They're going to have that amount of extra supply. You know, that's.
It's going to be interesting to see what it does to the resale market because I've heard a lot of opinions where, again, that the resale market's going to be destroyed for Supreme with certain pieces. Or if they come out with a certain line where it's certain Supreme pieces are available everywhere, like they put it in like a Zoomies or something like.
Right. Those skater brands.
Yeah. So like
TJ Maxx.
TJ Maxx. That'd be nasty, bro.
Hey, it's sold to a corporation. You'll see those partnerships soon.
Yeah, well, they have that like Supreme Essentials line, just
Yeah,
like simple stuff
exactly.
out somewhere where you can get it anywhere.
It's just like tees with a little small S
yeah,
or whatever.
and
You
then
know,
they have the regular Supreme drop set still
limited supply. Yeah.
limited supply, whatever, and
Yeah.
they make their bread off that. We'll see what they really do, man.
Word.
No,
'Cause,
but
I
it's
mean,
gonna come
Supreme
down to
makes a
bottom
lot.
line.
Like, we're talking about T-shirts, but they also made bricks. They
What do
made
you got
chairs.
on your? What kind of chair are you sitting in right now? Like,
A fakes.
Fakes-
Let me show the people.
the fake Supreme?
yeah, you guys just sold a real Supreme chair that you were sitting in last week.
No, what we really did is increase the value of a very cheap chair by adding the Supreme sticker on it. So now if we were to sell the chair, we're selling it for a lot more than we got it for.
Let him know. Let him know, Ian.
That's how we do
That's
business.
fraud.
That's how we do business here at the bottom line.
No, that's not how they do business here. They sell legit shit.
We sell legit stuff. Don't.
We sold a Supreme foldable chair today.
Yeah.
But that one's in the bathroom, so that's.
No, he was using that the last couple episodes too. It was comfy. It was
Yeah,
nice.
that one was.
Whoever got
We're
that,
talking about the other
good
one.
cup.
Oh,
The
we're
one we
talking
sold
about the
today.
black one.
Yeah, the
The
black
black
one
one.
with
Yeah.
the nice
Sold
like
us-
engraved Supreme on the
Yeah.
back.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Sold
they
like
do a lot of stuff with Supreme. Supreme bricks, Supreme stickers, Post-it stickers, Colgate.
Anything they can put their name on, just like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Word.
Logic
They have
is-
gloves. Oh my god, just like Donald Trump. Oh my
Army men, parachutes,
For real.
barbecues.
Barbecue.
So if you need some Supreme, just
They got it.
they got it.
They actually do got it.
They really, and if you can't get the real ones, you could get the fake ones.
Yeah, it's all a sticker. It's
That's
not a
how
big
we
deal.
do it.
It's just Supreme in red. So
And you got any Photoshop skills? You know, you can get them, Pat.
Let
Just
him know.
print it
I
out.
mean, fakes is a big thing in or copyright infringement. I think is the better
Yeah.
word. Is a big it's a big thing in fashion these days
Yeah.
because you know we're talking about blatant fakes and then we're talking about people using inspirations and ideas
Mm-hmm.
based on past ideas so you know build their brand, build product, build awareness. So you know we got some very recent news with
Yes,
that.
sir. Let's talk about it.
What's the next verses?
We've got Warren Lotas vs Nike, and if anyone's been keeping up in sneaker culture, Warren Lotas has dropped almost a play on the Nike SB's very famous shoe recently, and they've come under some flack because Nike has sued them
Mm-hmm.
for almost paying homage to a classic shoe.
Yeah.
I don't know if Joe can pull it up. Can you pull it up? All right, perfect.
Let the people know.
Let the people know the Stussy.
Yeah.
The Stussy. Show the Stussy one right here.
Right here.
We're going to show the Stussy one right here. And then the Wardis logo. yeah, do it.
Work those
it in my
work those After Effects magics, man.
And then you do the other one. Do the Warren Lotas.
Bro,
dunk
he's
right
gonna put a picture with like a whole bunch of bubbles on the outside.
there. So, yeah. He's come under fire for... he said he paid homage to the shoe, which has become very popular. And obviously, the resellers...
I feel
are-
like that's what every creative should
Yeah.
say when they're in that situation.
Yeah.
I
so-
didn't mean to break copyright laws. My bad.
Oh man. So yeah, one guy who actually worked with Nike making an SB, Jeff Staple of Pigeon. Shouts out Jeff Staple. He actually defended Warren Lotas, saying and giving his trademark to one of his dunks, the Pigeon. Show that one right here, Joe. Yep. Okay, perfect.
Super blurry. Yeah.
And then he was saying that Nike created their brand even from copywriting,
Right.
because fashion is it's a recyclable type thing where you get inspired from something and you kind of take it, make it your own.
Right.
I've seen brands do it all the time.
Even
Music's
in
the same
music.
thing.
And
Music's the same thing. though.
Exactly. So
Like, those things are big in music. as
Jeff
well.
Staple was saying that Nike copied a Japanese brand in the 70s, Anasaku Tiger, I believe it was called. And yeah. And they copied the Nike Cortez, which is a popular silhouette nowadays. Here's the Anasaku Tiger.
Too many
Here's
shoes
the-
in this podcast.
here's the- oh shit.
Joe's gonna start sending you an invoice at the end of this.
Oh, we'll pay him though.
Low end sponsored.
But yeah, he was saying that that's how Nike kind of became a global brand as well, because Anusaku Tiger couldn't make enough Cortezes globally. So Nike was like, why don't we take this sneaker that was popular in Japan and
Make it
other
worldwide.
sects of the world
Mm-hmm.
and just mass produce it.
Right.
And obviously they didn't really get enough flack for that. But that's how Nike even started. So
Copyright laws are only evident in the States and in
That is true.
in Britain, in Australia, Canada. They don't give a shit in Asia. Like if you're in Asia, they don't give a shit about copyright laws.
Damn similar to
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it right now. Like, it's a pretty crazy comparison.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
So what does this mean for for Warren Lotas at this point in time? Because
he even tried to release another set of shoes that was not like the SBs that he released. Joe showed them because they're a little different.
Do you have a name for these, or is he just gonna find a random
the
mess?
Yeah, he called them like the Grim Reapers. So
Okay.
before they had like almost
Hold
like
on,
a
before
Nike check.
before we go into this, because
Yeah.
I don't know if Joe's gonna be able to put up all these shoes, but talk more about these shoes. Like you guys have similar ones here in the
Yeah.
store. Like how do they look like? Do they have like the exact same SB logo or
Yeah, so like the Nike SB is just like it's a skateboarding shoe.
right?
Mhm.
It's for people that listen to this without visuals as well
Yeah,
too. Like
so-
they need it.
The Nike SB is basically a low top shoe sneaker.
The skater
that
board.
Nike- exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
meant for skaters. But they've always been popular to the casual sneaker guy.
Right.
You know? And what Nike does is obviously they make, just like any other, most sneaker brands and clothing brands, they do collaborations with other artists. And Jeff Staple, who we just talked about, is one of those guys. He's a creative guy that worked with Nike to create the Nike SB Pigeon Dunk,
Mhm.
which is infamous for its popularity and the release day that almost like shut down a whole street in New
Yup.
York or something
That's
like
dope.
that, and creates a lot of
Got the
crazy.
maps on it.
created a lot of mayhem on its release day. So it's like it's a very known sneaker.
Mhm.
So what Warren Lotas did recently was pay homage to that Pigeon Dunk sneaker by releasing his own version of it, and he made his
So is his
Slight
own version of it
changes.
very similar to the SB or
Very.
Nike check is still there. Which
Okay,
is,
okay.
Which is the biggest one.
Which is the
Let
biggest.
me
Yeah.
show you.
And everything is still there.
yeah, show me into the camera so they can see it too.
Yeah.
But he added like he added his own little twist to
Like,
it.
That's basically.
So
and
that's
then-
exactly like the shoe you have up here.
Exactly.
Except for it's got a little bit of like
Jason.
It's got like a Jason Voorhees mask on it.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And
so they did
then-
little edits to it,
Yeah.
right?
And then I'll show you his remake.
And these, if I'm not mistaken, his Warren Lotas sneakers sold out, were very very popular when they dropped, and
Okay.
Obviously-
on those ones you just showed me here, they actually look like
A different shoe in a way.
different shoe. They're not like Nike shoes, but the
Yeah.
one you just showed me with the pink,
The
it
silhouette.
literally looks like
yeah.
what you have here.
The silhouette is the same,
Yeah.
yeah.
which is why Nike kind of shut this down
Right.
as well. Which is interesting to see, man, because there's a lot of shoes that look like this, regardless.
That's a skater shoe.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna sue DC, you sue Osiris.
Yeah. Osiris, DC, like all those old school shoes that you find
Exactly.
in the store we were just talking about, the ones that sells Timberlands and Vans and
Yeah.
all those ones, like
There's a bunch of those out there,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but
this
this one,
yeah.
why is this one so important or so interesting to so many people?
which is weird too, because like as Nike, how many shoes does he release? Like 100 shoes, 1,000 shoes, like
Warren Lotas?
Very limited quantities.
Yeah,
I
like
know
what?
Resale is huge
like
on
what,
them.
10, 1,000,
I
100?
don't even be able to tell you, but it's really hard to get.
But that's what I mean. Like Nike
Yeah.
puts out millions of shoes a year. Why do they
Mhm.
give a shit if somebody puts out 10 or 100 shoes that have like a little stylized design?
He'd probably do around like 1,000 or less.
I think he did make if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 1,000.
I'll try.
Yeah.
Because
I
is
was
this guy
reading
hand
something
doing
that-
all this stuff, or
He's not hand doing. It's not.
He has his own like manufacturers
Yeah.
okay?
and warehouse. It is
But-
expensive.
Which is what I mean. Like if you got a factory, you got to pay a lot of fabric. You got to pay a lot of upfront costs. You
Yeah.
know, like
Exactly. And what I was reading was that he was trying to make he wanted to make more customized shoes, but the margins just weren't there.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
wanted to scale it as a business.
Right.
Mhm.
So he thought why don't I take something why don't I pay homage or use a previous design, put my little twist on it with the Jason Voorhees mask on the little on the end of the Nike check, whatever you want to call it, and make more of them, sell them, and brand it under Warren Lotus.
Yeah.
No, like if you were to pick up like 1,000 of those shoes, right? Like, because they look very similar. The other 3 that you showed me don't look very similar to, because they don't really have a Nike swoosh in them. But what he did with the Freddy Krueger mask or Jason or whoever the guy was, what he did with those, like you could literally hand make 1,000 of those. So I thought he was just sitting there in his basement, like, all right, I'm gonna make this one perfect. I'm gonna make the next one perfect.
I think
but it's too hard to do that,
His business. I feel like his business is past that in a way. Like it's not like a guy in his basement making 1,000 Warren Lotus pieces. Because he makes sneakers, he makes other apparel stuff, T-shirts and stuff like that. Like
I just don't know much about this
guy. It's a legit streetwear business.
Based out in LA.
Yeah.
Okay. He has his own warehouses and stuff. So.
Okay, so he's
legit.
got enough cash.
And they got it got traction.
A lot of traction.
And
a lot of people were trying to pick
I
these
feel
up.
like that's why Nike wanted to shut it down.
Yeah.
But that was my issue with it too. Like, if this is good for the Nike brand, like
exactly,
this is just people wearing more expensive, more customized SBs. Like, people are just gonna want to buy that same shoe, but they don't want to spend $1,500, like whatever the price is for these shoes.
Those ones in our case are going for around 1,000, I believe.
But that's what I mean. Like, they'll probably just want to buy more of the SBs that are based off that new design to just be like, I got the off-brand, whatever, just it'll do nothing but good for your business.
What's that?
Do you think? I'm pretty sure the Warren Lotus ones were going for about like $350, right?
Yeah.
Do you think those would go for more?
Those are only $350.
So Joe was asking. They were only $350.
And how much do those retail for? Those normal.
Those
shoes?
retail?
Probably the same. Right?
No, those retail for a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Like how much?
$150 plus tax.
50?
$150 plus tax, maybe $200.
I don't know. I'd pay an extra $200 for a customized piece of work.
Yeah.
Resale.
Yeah, resale wise.
That's going for about 1,000. Like, do you think the Warren Lotus one would go for more? Because I do. You know a lot more than I do, though.
I would pay more than $350 for a customized shoe. I pay $350 for a regular off the brand shoe. Like I paid $350 for my 11s.
I was watching a video and some guy was saying people buy these customized shoes for the value of it being customized. Whereas
plus you're also supporting the guy.
Yeah, you're also supporting somebody, someone not corporate. Yeah. So it feeds some dreams on top of you having something that again a lot of people have. And Joe was asking if he thought the Warren Lotus would go for more resale wise. I would say if it's a little rare.
I don't know.
Probably more rare than the Nike.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would say
it could be more rare than a Nike. Again, going back to
how hard is it to get a rare Nike? Like rare Nikes is an oxymoron. Like you can find Nikes everywhere.
You can.
Yeah, you got to. Well, they're not $500 for a sneaker shoe. Like they're $150. No, but they're $150 for a regular Nike shoe.
Yeah, retail.
Yeah, like a retail shoe. Yeah.
Yes, but I still feel like people are still gonna be attracted to the OG. Like
always.
Like there's a reason why 85 Jordan 1s are selling for the amount that they sell for. You know what I mean?
100%.
And no matter if someone does come out with a reworked Jordan 1,
the Off-White. Why doesn't Off-White get sued? Why doesn't Off-White get sued? They do the same shit.
That was more of
them
a partnership, collaboration thing.
Okay, I didn't know that, but that's pretty much what it sounds like with the other buddy. You know,
there's actually another shoe called it's called like a 1 in a chamber, and it's literally like a Jordan 1, but instead of a check, it's like a revolver.
Or like a bullet.
Yeah, we can show it here.
Joe just wants more work at this point. He's telling us to put the hand up.
But like those people, I forget who it is, but I know Sean and Jed are into that guy.
Yeah.
They've told us about it, and I know retail for those is a lot more, around 1,000.
So he just swipes with the Nike logo, or
he makes his own.
It's like less than the Warren Lotus one though, because it's like Warren Lotus like kind of has like the Nike swoosh kind of in there.
Yeah.
Like it's implemented.
It's literally just a revolver. And it's pretty dope.
It is. It looks good, but it's basically a Jordan 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jordan 1 with a revolver on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Bullets on the side.
Yeah. And you see all these brands nowadays kind of not copy each other, but be inspired. by past designs. Like
That's what copyright's for.
exactly.
That's what copyright's for, so you don't
Like-
get expired off.
You
off
see
the
these
iterations.
retailers like H&M and H&M and like Zara, Fashion
Forever
Nova,
21.
Forever 21. They take designs from some of these big brands like Fear of God, Rude, whatever, that have already kind of taken
Their
designs
place,
from
somebody
other
else. Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and they make it more accessible to the public, but make like literally copy and paste it, but just make it cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's like, why aren't they getting in trouble type thing?
No,
Yeah, I
even
mean,
like-
they have been. Some of them,
Yeah,
like
some of them
Fashion
have
Nova's
been-
been sued a few. Like recently, they were sued by Playboy for
I hate Fashion Nova.
completely
Please don't wear
Just
that.
like
ripping them off?
Halloween costume. Yeah, there was a bunny costume.
Hugh Hefner costume. I went as Hugh Hefner for Halloween this year. It's not that difficult. I went to Walmart, got a robe, wore a nice black silk shirt, called it a day.
But like some of these businesses, I've already been in trouble by it. But like they're big businesses. They're making billions of dollars every year.
They just pay the fine,
They'll
bro.
pay the fine,
Yeah.
but they'll still have all these people buying it. It's like it's worth it. But compared to
I
a
hate Fashion Nova.
smaller guy like Warren Lotus,
Mm-hmm.
where Nike's like I saw Nike was suing them and wanted all of the revenue made off
The
these
dunks.
dunks,
That's how you
Dunks
crush
in
small companies,
quotations, ladies and gentlemen.
wanted all their legal fees paid,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter when it's Zara or H&M.
Yeah.
They'll keep doing it.
and they'll pay
They'll
the
just
fine.
pay the fine.
Yeah.
But to these small, again, culture versus corporate.
Yep.
These cultural niche brands, how do they survive these? I don't know. I don't know if attack is the right word, but these.
You can say it.
I mean
No, it's
'cause
hard
Nike's
when-
in the right to.
Yeah.
I feel like
Nike's in the right to
is-
sue. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what we were
exactly.
just talking about at this point. Like copyright laws are there
Lakers
in
gonna
place.
sue us.
Yeah, Lakers, you're not listening to this, right? Yeah, Lowen's not
Yo,
gonna get a fat fine.
DJ.
Yo, please. Yo, Genie Bus, please.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't think you can copyright color.
No, it's like
No,
the-
it's pretty much the same L and yeah.
It's not close.
And I don't know. I'm sure there's a savvy
Yo, let's
lawyer
not
out
build
there.
a case for
Yeah.
please, please. They're gonna go back here and they're gonna be like, yo,
No, we were inspired by Lakers.
you know, walk
I'm a
over.
big Lakers fan. Please,
Look
Genie
at the
Bus,
bear.
don't.
Look at the bear.
Please,
It's been
Genie
up there.
Bus, don't.
Yeah.
Please, Mitch Kupchak, please. He's not even there anymore.
They're busy making trades, man.
Yeah.
Word. Fuck.
Talk about that later.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
will.
No, I don't know. Like what these smaller companies could do, because it's hard to get that initial brand up, right? Like
yeah.
the reason this guy's got such a big name is because he uses an SB line to inspire his work, right? Like people already know the brand, and he plays off of it and makes it look better, right? So that's how he's got his name out there. The only way I could see it happen is if they have these products here that are kind of copyright products that get their name out, but then they have their own product line, right, that they could sell to kind of afford these lawsuits.
Yeah.
That's kind of the only way I see it happening. But or unless they got like a huge influx of capital from some guy that's just like, I just have a bunch of money. Let's just start a clothing company.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever's hot right now, just make it, and we'll put our little logo on it, and whatever we get sued for, we'll pay for. But I don't think an artist that wants to get huge into this has the business savvy or has that, you know what, I'm going to get sued in 5 years if I keep going this way. 1,000 people that have bought this product, that's not a huge deal. But once this goes on Instagram and it gets 1 million likes, you'll see these bigger companies be like, I want a piece of that. Like,
Exactly.
where's my piece? Why don't you give me my 30% contract fee? Like whatever it
Right.
is. So I don't know. I it's always going to be, you gotta copy what's hot to be hot, but you got to have your own thing there to kind of pay for your either lawyer fees or pay for your lifestyle, pay for whatever, you got to have multiple ways to make income,
Exactly.
So I feel for these guys that are trying to be creative and stuff, and
Yeah.
they're doing what they can. But at the end of the day, if you got a lawsuit, if you got to structure properly, a lawsuit's not the biggest thing. At the end of the day,
biggest thing,
your company goes to waste, and you just do the same thing over again. But
Yeah.
I don't think he's stressed too much.
Yeah.
Because he's got his revenues from
other things.
other things. Again, like Joe was talking about the clothing. He
Yep.
makes amazing clothing. So
Mhm.
he's good on that end, I think.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful because I love his clothes as well.
It's just
Great
shitty when
clothes.
you're an artist and you get
Yeah.
screwed by business or screwed by just the system as a whole. Like,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Because creativity is inspiration. You take from
Yeah.
this and that and
100%.
you kind of mesh it together. And
man, I saw that Jason piece you just showed me. It makes perfect sense to put a Jason mask in a Nike logo.
Yeah, and if
Yeah.
you
Like-
saw the rest of his clothing,
Yeah.
it mixes so well with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Like it
100%.
works, and I'm surprised these Nike companies aren't like, I'll just give you a $100,000 cosign. You know,
Yeah.
do what you need to do, make our brand better.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it needs to be cooperation, not adversarial
Mhm.
work. You know, these
Yeah.
guys, they're not trying to ruin the Nike brand. If anything, it adds to
Yeah.
the Nike
Mhm.
brand. You know, just endorse that, embrace it, and make it a possibility.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
Nike's just very picky with who they do choose to work with, right? Because they
they
will
want to get
work
paid.
with
They
the
want,
Off-Whites.
yeah, they'll work with
and
Off-White.
have those structural agreements
Mhm.
where, you know, we get this much from every sale of the Nike Off-White ones or whatever it is. But when it's just an independent creator that hasn't had that contact with the company and is just taking their design,
Mhm.
that's when the issue kind of comes about.
Right.
Because I know none of us are trying to just wear Nikes for the next 50 years.
Yep.
That just gets plain and boring. Like Nike's not gonna come up with the hottest thing every
Every
time.
year, yeah. The KDs, I don't fuck with them.
So they
I fuck with
even
LeBron's
Nike-
just because I'm a LeBron
like,
fan
even
and
Nike
stand.
needs
But
to- even Nike needs to lean on the creatives, independent creatives
Yeah.
that are just out there trying to put a little twist on something.
Yeah.
Just to make it fresh
Refresh.
again.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
No,
Because the
that's-
Pigeon Dunks came out in the early 2000s.
Word.
You know what I mean? For a 14, 13-year-old kid that never heard of a Pigeon Dunk, he's going to be like, what are those?
Mhm.
Why are those so hype? But he's going to look at the Warren Lotus ones and be like, yo, that's a cool colorway. I like what he did with this. I'm going to cop those ones instead of the $1,000 Pigeon Dunks.
no, and it's crazy too because it's just like we were talking about with Off-White, they can take a Jordan 1, refresh it, add an extra $15,000 or $1,500 in value to the sneaker. Nike's cool with it,
Mm-hmm.
but then you get these small independent guys that they've got great clothing and all that other stuff, but we got to put our thumb down on this guy, but Off-White we can let go.
Yeah.
You know, and I guarantee Off-White didn't start off being like, let me go to Nike and get contractual obligations and
Yeah.
contractual rights to use their sneaker. He was just like, you know what, I'm gonna put this whatever it's called, that little zip tie or
zip
whatever
tie,
it is,
yeah,
and I'm gonna put an Off-White zip tie and I'm gonna change the Nike logo.
Nike
Yeah,
quotation.
yeah,
Oh
and I'm
my
gonna put
God.
Nike in quotations and all that other stuff. Like,
Virgil's even come under some flack for copying some lesser known artists for their designs.
I
It's just
I feel like you just need to get hot enough for these
Yeah.
big brands to be like, all right, we need to get with this guy. It's like even the
Yeah.
music. You got to get hot enough for Drake to want to get you on a feature or for Drake to want to have you on this track
Yep.
for you to blow up. And
you can do enough remixes, you know, you can be hot on these remixes, but then until you have your own beat, like nobody's
Yeah.
gonna pick you
Yeah.
up, you know.
Exactly. And it's just like with this Warren Lotus. Like if he had, I don't know. At this point, I don't know. But maybe if he had built the brand up
Mhm.
to a certain point where Nike's like, all right,
let's
this
work
guy's
with it.
dope.
Yeah.
He's made really nice sneakers. Let's work with this guy. And they probably did the same with Off-White. Off-White built its brand up. It was hot. It was bubbling. And Nike was like, our shit's getting stale.
Mm-hmm.
We need to work with these up-and-coming designers and make that next generation of kids want to get this Off-White one, except instead of getting the Chicago one that we've re-released.
15 times. Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever. You know what I'm
I
saying?
probably have like 3 versions of this Chicago one. Like, I have like two 11s with the. I have like a 4511 when they redid it for
yeah.
when they redid it for the movie, and I've
Yeah.
got like an original 11 with the 11 on the inside. Like
Yeah.
they've released these sneakers so many times. Like
Exactly.
Exactly. How
they
many
might as
times
well-
are we trying to see these
The
re-releases?
same sneaker, yeah. They might as well work with other creatives
Yeah.
that can put their touch to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And if they don't, I feel like it's just gonna be the demise of some of these big brands.
Yeah.
Even like if we're talking about Supreme, because they do collabs as well with other brands. Like
Mhm.
these collabs just allow you to exposure. Yeah, you get your brand out there with a different crowd.
Mhm.
You know, instead of just being for these guys in this specific area, I'm a link up with this guy in Toronto that does this, so people in Toronto want to get this sneaker or listen to this music or wear this shirt. That's the beauty of collaborations, but
Hey, man.
Nike's
big business
not-
doesn't see it sometimes.
is
Big
not down
businesses,
sometimes.
yeah, they don't.
Nike said fuck that.
No, they pay $5 for their shoes, sell them for $200. Like they've got their business model on pat. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't want somebody coming in there. But I don't know. At the end of the day, it's good for your business to allow collaboration and allow exploration. You know, like.
Yeah. We'll see what happens in the future with Warren Lotas and Nike.
Yeah.
So who wins, culture or corporate?
Fuck.
I think right now it sounds like corporation.
Yeah, it sounded like corporate.
Corporate's winning, but
Their bottom line's getting
fat, big. Yeah. Come on now.
No, but I don't know.
Big
For culture, you just got to keep doing this stuff, man. Until they implement new rules of like, this is like we were talking about the Gucci stuff. Like, how do you authorize that kind of stuff? Like, until they implement that kind of stuff where it's so easy to make a fake of this shoe or whatever. These creatives, they can just keep coming in here, adding their own spin to it, and hopefully not everybody gets sued. You know,
Facts.
like
I think corporate. I don't think corporate understands how much they need culture.
we were talking about this 2 episodes ago. Like they'll hop on whatever the next culture wave is, but sometimes they don't see what's right under them. You know,
Yeah, exactly. They don't know. Again, they don't know what's going on the street level, what the kids are talking about and stuff like that. Again, they're just worried about the bottom line, increasing margins, making more profits, but they don't really know what's going on.
And I think that's a good time for a break.
That was really
We live?
Right. Whoa. Welcome back to the bottom line. And these glasses of wine are brought to you by Low End, where you can get premium vintage, the latest in sneakers and streetwear for a great price. Follow Low End Co. at lowendco_ on Instagram. Check out their website, lowendco.ca, and come to the store at 365 Palliser Street, where we're recording. Wow. What are we drinking today?
You gotta add vintages sponsoring vintage, or vintage sponsoring
vintage sponsoring vintages.
So can I send you guys an invoice for this or what?
What the fuck you saying, bro?
Vintage sponsoring vintages.
Yeah, you guys are a
wine.
vintage store
Vintage wine.
sponsoring vintage wines. I see what you're putting down.
I see the vision.
You gotta see.
I picked it up
All
right
right,
away.
bro.
We got a blast from the past from last week. I got 2 bottles, you know, because I knew this one was gonna be hot. It had all the stickers on it. So we got the Wakefield Merlot again, 2018. You know, we feeling the vibe out here. Two glasses in, we're already pretty litty, and after the third one,
But we got a great topic coming up, though,
Yeah.
so this is
much needed.
This is much needed.
Hector's gonna have
Got a
some shit to
heavy
say about it.
topic.
Young Ma versus Jack Ma versus communism.
versus the CCP. Come on, G. Young Ma fighting communism is crazy.
Yo, B, what's good?
All right.
Young
That's that big drip. Big wrist.
That's a big wine right there.
Big body. Big whip. All right, but for real. Jack Ma versus the CCP.
Communism.
Communism.
So
Let Raz get into it while I calm down, please.
so I'm sure you guys know, like Jack Ma is the guy that owns Alibaba. You might not know he's part of the CCP.
Communism.
He's part of the communism. He's part of the
What does CCP stand for? Like
the
China?
China Communist Party.
Okay.
But from what I've heard and the research I've done, like if you're not in the CCP, you can't get anything done in China. So it's kind of like it's a country of a mob, like pretty much. Like if you're not part of them, they're not going to do anything that you want. But you know, you can be part of them, but not agree with what they want to say, right? And that's where I think Jack Ma is like, you really messed me up with this young Ma.
You just keep thinking about her.
Her or him.
Her in communism.
Come on, G.
What's good, B? You gonna impose your laws against me?
The New York mans are and females.
So yeah, Jack Ma. Not only does he own Alibaba, but he's got another company called Ant Financial,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that most people around here, especially North America, don't know about. It's kind of like something that just runs primarily in China. And if I can compare it to anything, it'd probably be like the PayPal version of China. They started as an escrow system, like on Alibaba. Like they were the ones that, an escrow system, for people that don't know, is like kind of a middleman to make sure that the deal gets finished. Like you send your money to an escrow system, and then once you get your product and it's all been delivered, then they release the money to the seller, right? Kind of makes sense. You guys kind of do the same thing with your co-signing and stuff like that too, right? So that started off as a small little business on Alibaba, and now they've kind of spun it off to its own business, right? And financial is done, as opposed to just being an escrow company, it's become like a financial supermarket, right? Like Chinese people can go on their phone and they can buy like insurance for whatever they need. They can do their investments. They can also sell products, buy products. Like I'm sure a lot of people have been on Alibaba to do drop shipping and stuff like that. Like it's a place to get products from wholesalers, it's a way to skip that middleman, like to be able to link consumers right directly to the producers, right? And there needed to be some way to kind of have a middleman between that to just make sure all the deals go through. And then that Ant Financial business started to become something much bigger, right? Like right now it's got 900 million users, which is pretty much triple the U.S. population, using their product pretty much every day, right? Like they don't even use banks. They don't use credit cards. They just use Ant Financial, or they use, what's that called? WeChat?
Yeah.
WeChat. So it's pretty much just like you got Alipay or you got WeChat, and you don't have credit cards, you don't have anything like that, right? And Ant Financial was responsible for, like, last year in 2019 for doing $15 trillion worth of business transactions. And 15 trillion is a lot of money. Like MasterCard, one of the, if not the biggest credit card provider around the world, does 6.5 trillion, just for reference, right?
So they're doubling up on
6.5 in the world.
In the whole world.
Wow.
Yeah, they got 6.5 trillion around the whole world.
God.
Whereas Ant Financial, or Alipay, they do 15 trillion a year. And just for another reference, the European Union as a whole, so like Germany, Spain, Italy, between the whole European Union, they do $18.3 trillion per year. So this one company is doing almost as much as the European Union. Like,
That's nasty.
that's craziness. Like, and that's only happening in one country, in China. Like, they have 900 million users, which is, like I said, 3 times the amount of the U.S. population.
Dude.
I think that's, 9 times or 10 times the amount of the Canadian population.
Yeah.
Like,
That's insane. Do any of these services go out to any other countries? Or like the WeChats, the and financials?
they have such a big market cap where you don't need to go to the U.S. Like, you have 900 million
That's
users.
crazy.
Why do you need to expand? Right now,
That's true.
they're trying to
Yeah.
expand to, like, other places close by, like Thailand, India.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Because those are the people that are underbanked, right? Like here in North America, we're properly banked. If you have a good business idea, you can go to a bank and they'll approve you for a loan.
Yeah.
But in China, where there's so many millions of people, or in India, you look at it like as a caste structure. Like there's different ways that they approve credit, right? That they approve a bank loan. If you want to start a business and you're kind of just selling shoes, or you've got a little convenience store or whatever. No bank's going to give you money in these Eastern countries. But that's where Ant Financial comes in. They'll give you like small micro loans. They'll give you the ability to buy insurance on your products. They'll give you that kind of stuff, right? So it's become like a financial supermarket. And like I've said, 900 people in Asia or in China use the service. So it's become pretty much like they've overtaken the banks. And as any communist country, you don't like that. You don't like that they become pretty much their own economy at this point, right? Like 900 million people. Man, just imagine that. Like, California is a huge country or huge state as itself, and pretty much could be a country if it really wanted to. But like, it doesn't have 900 million people. Like, you just got to think of like that's a lot of people using one service, right? And I think I mentioned this originally, but Jack Ma is part of the CCP, and he went on stage at some certain place and was just like talking shit about the regulators in China, right? Like, they don't allow us to do innovation. They don't allow us to make these deals because they have like such a closed system, right? Like, you really can't run a world business in China because they have such stringent rules, right?
Mhm.
So he pretty much went on stage and just said what he felt, right, to a bunch of people, and then
He's catching
couple-
flack for it.
couple days later, he caught flack from the CCP. You know,
Communism.
they imposed regulations and rules and all that other stuff. Like,
Vague rules.
at the end,
Communism.
like at the end of the day, they were pretty much just like, all right, like you guys might have enough ability to finance all these loans and all these microloans, but 30% of your loans need to come from the Chinese banks. Like, they imposed rules like that 2 days after he talked shit about them on public TV, right?
Wow.
Even though he's a big party member, like, I know I mentioned originally that this pretty much like runs like mob. Like, I love mob movies. I've probably watched most of them made, but like, it's great in fiction. But when you see it in real life, it's kind of like, oh jeez,
Holy shit.
yeah, holy shit.
Especially on the like, because the
On a
mob
grand
is
scale
is
like
like it's a lot smaller than the government, right?
Mhm.
When it's like the leading people of a country saying, "Yo, don't be talking like that. You
Mhm.
shouldn't be saying that,"
Mhm.
or "You're talking like that. All right, we're doing this,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and we're gonna mess up your shit or whatever it is." Like that's
No,
It's nasty.
you just in
It's
my head
crazy.
too. I'm thinking like as a like a Sopranos episode, like somebody comes up and was just like talking to Tony and was like, "This guy's doing all this and this." All right, you know, it's fine. He's a little bit out of line, but he's earning us money. You know, at the
Mhm.
end of the day, they look past it. But I think he hit a point where he's just like, "Oh, he really fucked up there. Like, we got to get rid of this guy."
Shit.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter how much money you earn because Alibaba was the second biggest IPO,
Mm-hmm.
and Ant Financial was supposed to be the biggest IPO in history.
Mhm.
It was supposed to raise 32 or 34.5 billion dollars.
that was an IPO in China.
It was an IPO in New York.
Oh, shit!
So it was bigger than the Saudi Oil Corp, which just released last year.
Yeah.
That was like
Mhm.
$29.4 billion raised.
Wow.
The second biggest was Alibaba at like 25 billion.
Yep.
So like Ant
Wow.
Financial was supposed to be valued at more than Alibaba as a whole. And
Damn.
Alibaba literally sells all the product, but
Yeah,
Ant
yeah.
Financial is the one that finances all of it,
Finances.
right? And realistically, around the world, because it was supposed to be put on the Shanghai and the Hong Kong market,
Mm.
plus in the New York Stock Exchange.
Okay.
So it was actually supposed to be valued at like $315 billion, which is like a huge amount of money. Jack
Yeah.
Ma selling off all that stock, even if he's only a 10% owner in the company at this point, he's getting $31 billion, like, worldwide.
Win out here.
Yeah. So
Big profit.
yeah. So he talks shit about the Communist Party, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna take away your $31 billion that you're about to make, or whatever you're about to make. You know, we're gonna take that all away, or we're gonna suspend it. You know, like that's what the Chinese regulators are saying at this point. We're
He's
just
like
gonna
the Jeff
suspend.
Bezos of China.
That's exactly what Alibaba is. Alibaba is Amazon of China.
Mm-hmm.
Like
But, like China's fucking huge.
Yeah.
way bigger than yeah. It's the
Huge.
biggest consumer market in the world.
Exactly.
Holy shit.
So how's this gonna affect his businesses?
Man, like
What
I don't know. At
these
this point,
Chinese
I think you
people are
gotta
gonna do? What do you think?
you gotta make a decision to just be like, all right, I'm gonna be either pro CCP or not pro CCP.
Oh, communism.
I mean, that's very interesting, and like because we are
I'm sorry.
we obviously had the U.S. elections a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
I'm not sure who Jeff Bezos voted for, but you just see the contrast
I think he probably voted Democratic. Yeah.
and you see the contrast.
good for his
in-
business.
Yeah, you see the contrast between like the corporate versus the government
Yeah.
in the U.S. scenario, and we've seen that for many years in
Mhm.
the Western world, whatever you want to call it, and then corporate versus the CCP in China, how different that is.
Right.
You know, even though Jack Ma is a big player in China, generates a lot of money, even if he's talking down or talking unfavorably about, you know, the government regime and whatnot, they're still coming down with
They have rules.
Yeah,
With
Yeah,
the fire.
it's like a legit mob. Like they have rules that you know what you say this and you die. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it's like the old school movies I used to see. Like they talk bad about us. We can't handle that. Like we're
Mhm.
just gonna get rid of it. It doesn't matter how much he's bringing into us.
Yeah.
We'll find somebody else. You know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they probably would.
They will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some-
they'll have somebody else run Alibaba.
It's
And I don't think
Like
Jack Ma at the end of the
Yamaha.
day needs any more money. I think he's probably good at what he's got. Like,
Yeah.
100%.
but you know, it's just it's at a point where, you know, you could have billions and billions of dollars and you'll still have enemies. Like, there'll still be people out there that are more powerful or more connected or have more money than you know.
Exactly. Man, the government, they be running shit for real, for real.
Of course.
If you don't look at them as a partner, like I said a couple episodes
Yep.
ago, you're always gonna look at them as an enemy. So.
Yep.
And it's hard to be a good good partner with the mob. Like, they're always gonna want more from you than than you're gonna want to give them.
Yeah.
So.
But at the same time, he's in this. He has that opportunity to grow these big businesses because he is in China.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, that comparison between him and Jeff Bezos is like, yeah, Jeff Bezos gets to maybe a little bit more freedom, but he doesn't have access to a
900 million or whatever it is.
900 million people, 900 million people, and a 15 trillion.
Man, their middle class is
market,
bigger
like
than the U.S. right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, they have like 300 or 350 million people in the middle class, which is like $70,000 to $120,000 per year of income. Like,
but at the same time, it's like
those
the
are the people
rules that the
buying stuff.
CCP probably has put in place has allowed Jack Ma to be so dominant in China as well.
Definitely, yeah.
You know?
Since the last dynasty fell, like, when they allowed people to actually have their own money and, like, you didn't have to be a farmer, you know, you could actually go and work in an industry. This has probably been the biggest change, like allowing people to get like these micro loans, like allowing them to, you know, I need $1,500 to run my business. Something fell and broke my window. Like, I just need a small micro loan, but I'm not trying to get charged 50-60%. You know, like, these are the things that allow businesses to operate, and this is something that's never been available for Chinese people before. They had to either go through a bank and they had to know somebody, or they had to be a cousin of somebody that allowed them to kind of get a loan, right? But now that these financial groups and all that other stuff's making capitalism more easy, it's going against communism as a whole's values. And whether it's because he talked shit about CCP and the regulations in front of everybody, or they were seeing this as it's an easy way for people to get their money out of the country, or whatever it is going against the CCP's values, it just shows how quickly a government could just be like, we're going to trap that up and slow it down, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, I'm all for him. I think he wants to do the best, but it's hard to go against a government. A government like that, you know?
Interesting to see.
That's pretty much all I got into about that. Just, I hope it goes through. Like, it was supposed to go through in a couple of different places, and I think he's just got to make a couple deals at this point now to kind of, you know what, we'll allow you guys to do the 30% bank regulated loans. Like, we'll do this for Chinese people. Like, whatever negotiations he's got to make, I think he's going to make those because it's too big of a deal to pass up.
Yeah.
But these are the kind of deals you got to make when you're dealing with a
mob
or a government that doesn't allow, you know, like, innovation and open entrepreneurship and democracy and all that other stuff, you know.
That's what happens when you're dealing with the mob and you're trying to increase your bottom line.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you guys for being here today, enjoying this glass of wine with me, talking about business and everything like that. Today we had some very good topics, I might say. Very good, interesting.
The Versus podcast.
Yeah, it was the Versus podcast, where we went culture versus corporate, Ma versus CCP, Jack Ma versus CCP.
I thought you said mob.
But honestly, we see these. It's not even just Supreme and Warren Lotas or Jack Ma. It's like we see these verses play out in a lot of different areas, in a lot of different fields. You know what I mean?
Just a couple examples.
It's always going to be business versus government. It's always going to be culture versus corporate. It's just, I guess, a scale of it all.
There's always going to be somebody bigger than you. You just kind of know how to fight the fight.
Exactly.
Yep.
Trying to control you, do this, do that. It's always going to be there. It was just, honestly, I think this episode was just a scale of it because, you know, Nike's one of the biggest brands in the world. Supreme's one of the biggest streetwear brands in the world. Alibaba and Jack Ma.
And the CCP is one of the biggest governments in the world.
Exactly. So you got to act right if you're trying to make your
bread.
Trying to make your bread and increase that bottom line.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, I want to thank you guys for joining us here at the Bottom Line Podcast. It was a beautiful Sunday with some great wine. I want to encourage you to follow us on Instagram at the Bottom Line Pod.
Let them know.
Follow us as well on YouTube at the Bottom Line Podcast and everywhere else where you can listen to a podcast. The Bottom Line Podcast is what you want to be listening to until we're back with you next Sunday.